They were the faces you couldn't escape smiling on every poster, singing on every screen, selling the dream of innocence to a world that desperately needed it. But then, they vanished. No scandal, no warning, just silence. Hollywood moved on. But the question never did. What happens when the child who made everyone else happy finally wants to be free? Some disappeared by choice. Others were erased by the very industry that created them. Behind the glitter was pressure, control, and contracts signed before they could even spell their own names. For a few, walking away was survival. For others, it was the end of everything. This isn't a story about fame, it's a story about escape. About what really happens when childhood becomes currency and the lights go out for good. Some stars wait for the spotlight to fade. Others turn it off themselves. Deanna Durbin didn't crash. She walked away. At 27, she was one of the most bankable women in America, a voice that saved Universal Studios from bankruptcy, and a smile that filled theaters from coast to coast. And then, silence. No scandal, no breakdown, no secret exile. She left it all, moved to a quiet village in France, and spent the rest of her life away from cameras that never stopped wanting her. When a reporter once asked why, her answer was short but sharp. "I was never happy in Hollywood." That wasn't surrender. It was freedom. Gloria Jean followed the same path. Studios crowned her the next Deanna Durbin, and for a while she carried that crown perfectly, hit after hit, song after song. But when musicals started dying, she refused to die with them. No tears, no headlines, no desperate comeback. She simply walked away, choosing peace over applause, a quiet life over chaos. Then there was Martin Stevens, the boy whose pale stare in Village of the Damned haunted an entire generation. At 16, when every agent wanted a piece of him, he disappeared. No farewell, no tragedy, no clues. Just a boy who'd seen enough and wanted something real fans called it mysterious. He called it living. They didn't fade out, they escaped. In a business built on obsession and burnout, disappearing by choice might be the rarest success of all. But not every story ended on their terms. Some stars didn't get the chance to leave because fate took them first. Some stars never got the luxury of walking away. For them, Hollywood didn't fade to black. It cut too soon. Brandon DeWilde was one of them. At just 11, he broke America's heart with 4 words that still echo through film history. "Shane, come back." That moment made him immortal, but real life never gave him the same grace. He grew up, took serious roles, earned respect, and finally started breaking free from the image of a child actor. But in 1972, on his way to a stage performance near Denver, everything ended in a flash of twisted metal and headlights. No scandal, no spiral, just a brutal reminder that sometimes fate doesn't wait for the credits to roll. Then there was Bobby Driscoll, Disney's golden boy, the voice of Peter Pan, the face of Treasure Island, the studio's first ever contracted child star. For a while, he could do no wrong. Then puberty hit, acne appeared, and the magic disappeared. The same studio that once called him family dropped him without warning. By 16, he was washed up. By 31, he was gone, found lifeless in an abandoned New York building, buried in a mass grave with no name. Years later, fingerprints revealed the truth. The boy who taught the world to never grow up had died alone, forgotten by the world he made dream. Scotty Beckett's story hit just as hard. The smiling kid from our gang had that spark, charisma, timing, that perfect 1950s grin. But fame doesn't teach you how to grieve. After his father's death, Scotty drowned his pain in pills and chaos. Arrests, brawls, broken marriages, the headlines turned cruel. By his late 30s, he was living in the shadow of the boy America used to love. In 1968, after a violent beating, he checked into a nursing home. 2 days later, they found him dead. A handful of pills. A lifetime of exhaustion. Some disappearances are mysteries. Others are just mercy. Hollywood didn't take these boys quietly. It took them mid-sentence before they could finish the story. And yet, for every life that ended too soon, a few managed to do the impossible. They found a way to start over. Not every child star crashed and burned. Some took the wreckage and rebuilt something even stronger. Shirley Temple didn't just survive Hollywood, she outgrew it. The dimpled face that once carried America through the Great Depression became one of the most powerful women in politics. When the cameras stopped rolling, she swapped movie sets for meeting rooms, charm for diplomacy. She served as a United Nations delegate, then U.S. ambassador to Ghana and Czechoslovakia. The little girl who once danced through dream worlds grew up to negotiate in real ones. When reporters asked if she missed the spotlight, she laughed. "I have one piece of advice for those who want to be actors. Don't." That wasn't bitterness. That was freedom. Tommy Rettig, the boy from Lassie, made a similar escape. Millions knew him as Jeff, the kid who shared his heart with a loyal dog. But behind the scenes, fame felt like a cage. So, at 14, he did something unthinkable. He asked out of his contract. The roles dried up. The spotlight dimmed. But Tommy didn't crumble. He went from scripts to software, becoming one of the first pioneers in computer programming. In the age of fame addiction, he chose purpose over popularity, and he never looked back. Freddie Bartholomew's reinvention was born from chaos. At 12, he was Hollywood royalty. David Copperfield, Little Lord Fauntleroy, every film a success. Then came the lawsuits. His long-lost parents fought viciously over his fortune, bleeding it dry before he was even old enough to drive. But Freddie refused to be a cautionary tale. When acting stopped paying the bills, he built a new career behind the curtain, creating commercials that sold to millions who never realized the kid from MGM was behind the camera. They didn't escape fame. They evolved past it. They traded red carpets for real lives, the kind that last longer than the applause. Because in Hollywood, survival isn't about staying famous. It's about knowing when to let go before fame becomes your prison. Not every star needed a second act filled with headlines or reinvention arcs. Some simply grew up, gracefully, quietly, and far away from the chaos. Margaret O'Brien was one of them. At 7 years old, she could cry on cue and steal a scene from any adult in the room. Meet Me in St. Louis, Jane Eyre, Little Women. Every performance felt too real for someone so young. But as she got older, Hollywood didn't know what to do with her anymore. Instead of chasing the spotlight that no longer wanted her, she did something almost no child star ever does. She walked away with her dignity intact. No scandals, no spirals, just peace. She grew up, built a life, and chose to remember Hollywood with gratitude instead of bitterness. That quiet decision might have been her greatest performance. John Provost, or as the world called him, Timmy from Lassie, followed a similar path. He had one of the most recognizable faces on television, and when the show ended, every studio expected another season of his life on screen. But John was done being Timmy. He left gracefully, went to college, worked regular jobs, and raised a family. Years later, he'd smile when fans called out his old TV name, not with regret, but with warmth. Some people chase the fame that fades. John learned how to live beyond it. Then there was Beverly Washburn, the girl who cried real tears in Old Yeller. Directors loved her because she could make audiences feel something honest, something pure. But Beverly never let those moments define her. When her child star glow began to fade, she didn't fight it. She kept working when she could, then quietly stepped back. No breakdowns, no tell-all books, no resentment, just a steady life built on her own terms. These were the rare ones, the ones who grew up without losing themselves. No addiction headlines, no tragic endings, just people who once carried the weight of fame and learned to put it down gently. And while some stars found peace in silence, others found their power in rewriting Hollywood's rules forever. Some child stars didn't fade or reinvent. They changed Hollywood itself. They turned pain into protection and fame into power that outlived them. Jackie Coogan was the first. Discovered by Charlie Chaplin in The Kid, he became the world's very first child superstar. His face on dolls, candy, and merchandise before merchandising was even a word. By the time he turned 21, he had earned over $4 million, a fortune in the 1920s. But when he asked his mother for his money, she told him it was gone every dollar spent. She said he had enjoyed himself, so he didn't deserve it. That betrayal became a national scandal. Jackie sued, and though he recovered little, his case created the Coogan Law, forcing studios to protect a portion of every child actor's earnings. His pain became every child star's protection, and his name a law. Kevin Moochie Corcoran grew up in Walt Disney's world. He was the freckle-faced, scrappy boy every kid wanted to be, from Old Yeller to Swiss Family Robinson. But Kevin saw the pattern early. Child stars didn't last, and he refused to become another Hollywood ghost. so he stepped behind the camera. As an assistant director and producer, he worked on hit shows like Murder, She Wrote, and Baywatch. While others chased fame, Kevin built something sturdier. Respect he didn't disappear. He evolved, quietly shaping the same industry that once shaped him. Benita Granville was another kind of rebel. At 13, she played a venomous liar in These Three, a performance so raw it earned her an Oscar nomination. But when Hollywood stopped giving her the roles she deserved, she didn't beg for them back. She married producer Jack Rather and took control. Together, they built an entertainment empire, producing Lassie, investing in television, even funding the Disneyland Hotel. Benita didn't wait for permission. She became the boss. They didn't just survive the system, they rewired it. While Hollywood was busy forgetting their names, they were the ones deciding which stories would be remembered. And behind every quiet success was the same truth. Some stars don't fade away. They simply change where the light shines. Some child stars didn't just walk away from Hollywood. They rebuilt what came after it. They stopped chasing the light and started shaping where it shined. They became the curators, the historians, and the quiet architects of an industry that once tried to own them. Claude Jarman Jr. was one of them. At 12, his performance in The Yearling earned him an Academy Juvenile Award and instant fame. Every studio wanted him. But he didn't want their version of his life. After a handful of films, he left the business entirely, served in the Navy, and earned his degree. Years later, he returned not as a performer, but as the executive director of the San Francisco International Film Festival, turning it into a global cultural event. When he passed in 2025 at 90, tributes didn't call him a former child star. They called him a visionary who gave film a second life off-screen. Then there was Baby Peggy, the silent era prodigy who learned too early how cruel fame could be. Before Shirley Temple ever danced, Peggy Montgomery was America's sweetheart, earning millions before she turned 6. But her father squandered her fortune, and by 7, her career was gone. She could have vanished forever, but she chose a different ending. As Diana Sarah Carey, she reinvented herself as an author and historian, using her story to expose how Hollywood's earliest child stars were exploited and forgotten. She became the voice for those who never got to grow up, living to 101 as a living reminder that strength can outlast fame. Claude and Diana shared something rare: perspective. He built the future of cinema. She preserved its past. One gave young filmmakers a stage to shine. The other made sure the truth behind it was never buried. They didn't chase relevance. They created it. Their names might not appear in headlines anymore, but their fingerprints are everywhere in the world of film, because real legacy isn't about who stays in front of the camera. It's about who has the courage to step behind it and make sure the story keeps going. Some stars built their piece from distance. Others found power in purpose. But a few discovered the rarest victory of all: they lasted. In Hollywood, survival is impressive, but longevity, that's rebellion. Fame is built on short memories and fast replacements. One year, you're the face of the industry, the next, you're forgotten. Yet a few child stars managed to do what almost no one else could. They stayed. They grew up under the lights and somehow found a way to keep shining without losing themselves. June Lockhart was one of those rare survivors. Born into an acting family, she stepped in front of the camera at just 13, appearing in A Christmas Carol in 1938. While countless child actors came and went, June never disappeared. She simply evolved. As a teen, she stole scenes in Meet Me in St. Louis and She-Wolf of London. But it was television that made her a household name. Through Lassie and Lost in Space, she became America's mom, kind, calm, unbreakable. She didn't just play stability, she embodied it. While others fell victim to fame's cruelty, June mastered its rhythm. No scandals, no breakdowns, no desperate reinventions, just steady work, decade after decade, in an industry that chews through its brightest faces before they even understand what hit them. At conventions, fans spanning multiple generations still saw her as the same woman who comforted them through a black and white screen. Even into her late 90s, she carried herself with the same quiet poise she had as a teenager when she passed in 2025 at 100 years old. She didn't fade away. She finished the story on her terms. Longevity wasn't luck for June Lockhart. It was strength. It was discipline. It was the art of adapting without surrendering. While others fought to stay relevant, she simply stayed herself. That was her rebellion. She didn't need to reinvent the game because she had already beaten it. And maybe that's the ultimate truth about child stars. Not all of them fall. Some find peace. Some find purpose. And a few, like June, live long enough to outlast the system that tried to write their ending. Not every vanishing act in Hollywood is a tragedy. Some are escapes. Some are transformations. Some are quiet revolutions disguised as goodbyes. These child stars didn't all fade. They evolved, resisted, or simply outlasted a system built to consume them. Some left while the applause was loudest, others were taken before their story could finish, and a few lived long enough to prove that survival itself can be the most powerful legacy of all Hollywood sells the illusion of eternal youth. But these stories remind us that growing up, moving on, or stepping away doesn't mean failure, it means freedom. Deanna Durbin found it in silence. Bobby Driscoll never got the chance. Shirley Temple turned it into influence, and June Lockhart turned it into history. Together, they show that disappearing doesn't always mean being forgotten. Sometimes it means finally being free. Because in a town obsessed with who's next, the real legends are the ones who knew when to say, "That's enough." If you made it this far, you know this isn't just nostalgia. It's a mirror. Fame rises, fades, and repeats. But the stories that last are the ones that outlive the spotlight. So tell me in the comments, which story hit you the hardest? And don't forget to subscribe, because next time, we're pulling back the curtain on the child stars who fought Hollywood and actually won.